and then you would let it sit. If you remember, if any of y'all were here, you would let it sit in the sunshine for, you would rinse them twice a day for however long. And Allie printed out this chart so that whatever kind of bean that you want to soak, you can see how long you should sprout or soak for cooking purposes. Also, you can sprout grains and nuts. And sprouted grains are the same thing as beans. It starts to release all of the wonders of life, basically, when you sprout them. All of the good stuff starts happening with that activation process. And you'll feel it too. When you eat this, it's different. The texture changes, whether you're cooking it or you're eating it raw. The texture is just, it's delicious, and you're going to taste that when I make this recipe. You're going to taste the difference. These have soaked overnight, and I have.
Which one is better?
Well, it just depends on what you're going for. You can have. Probably you're getting more active enzymes if it's raw. But, sometimes you want cooked food. Sometimes, and I don't necessarily get on the bandwagon that you have to eat raw food all the time. But it's good to uplift it activates your cells more to eat raw food. To me, it's just what you need in that moment, and just being aware of what you want, following your list. What do you want to do? What do you want to make? Because cooking is really a creative process. And I found out that Allie cooks a lot like I do, which is you kind of use a recipe to just kind of see what you need, but you're not really too concerned about hitting the right amount of anything. So I just want to demonstrate what that looks like. A little casual cooking class, if you will. So I'm going to put about 2 cups of lentils in here. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. And then let's see. Do you guys want to look at these while y'all have?
You can have some more.
Thank you.
Anyone need one?
So we're going to do half a cup of diced cucumber, more or less. Half a cup of seeded diced tomato, which, why would you take out the seeds? I don't know. Third of a cup of chopped green onion. I like green onion, so we're going to put in a little more. 2 tablespoons of chopped fresh cilantro. Now this is kind of a wonder herb right here. I read that cilantro can reduce your heavy metal content in your body. It just absorbs it and takes it out. So we're going to add a little bit more of that because we get heavy metal exposure just, in riding around in the car. Like it's around us all the time, basically. Our wonderful automated society. So let's see. 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Another olive oil.
Does anyone need any more? Just raise it and we'll get some more coffee.
Olive oil, I think, has a wonderful taste, so add more. Half a cup of chopped radishes. These are optional. Radishes have kind of a cool heat, which I kind of like, but not too much. So add accordingly. 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. You might want to put a spoon underneath to catch the seeds.
Okay. I was going to say your juicer, that wooden juicer thing.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never used one of these before.
Oh, they're awesome.
But here we go.
A secret weapon.
Nice.
That would be good.
That's great. Yeah.
Look at all that juice coming out.
I've never seen one.
We have a question over here.
Yes.
Can we use more lemon juice and no vinegar?
I like it. Why not? Make it to suit you. Yeah, lemon juice is alive. I mean, vinegar's undergone the fermenting process, and especially if it's raw vinegar, you're getting a lot of good stuff. But
Oh, raw vinegar has good stuff that
yeah,
lemon juice doesn't?
it has the mother in it, which is the actual like fermented. Like you see the little chunks floating around.
It's called unfiltered if you see it. Raw, unfiltered.
So we'll add a little less. I added a little less white wine vinegar, I think, and a little more lemon juice. And you know, you can always mix it up and taste it and see what you want more of. Dried oregano, 1.5 teaspoons. So I'm just going to use my hand. Half a teaspoon of garlic.
And you could use fresh garlic.
Yes.
If you don't want to use the powder, but
Yes. 1.5 teaspoons of curry powder. I actually added turmeric to the lentils already because I just add turmeric to everything. Alzheimer's runs in my family, and so turmeric actually reduces inflammation. So the more, like people in Alzheimer's, people in India, excuse me, don't get Alzheimer's as much because they use curry pretty much on everything. So I highly recommend it. Turmeric is really what's keeping making the curry so potent in that equation. So I use turmeric a lot. Dry mustard. Do we have any dry mustard?
yep.
Anyone else with a recipe?
If you don't have dry mustard, you can use a little bit of wet mustard. A little bit less, maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of it, if it calls for half a teaspoon.
I'm going to go ahead and use some more of these cucumbers because we have them. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little more lentils because we have them.
Now the lentils are just sprouted, not cooked.
No, I cooked these lentils.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I sprouted them, well, soaked them for 8 hours overnight. And then I cooked them you cook them for a less amount of time after you soak them.
How long can you keep them?
How long can you keep them in the refrigerator? As long as you avoid regular means.
How long can you cook them? How long would you do it after you soak?
20 minutes. 20 minutes.
Same there?
Yeah, it's definitely less. You want to watch it.
Otherwise they go to mush.
Yeah, lentils don't take usually about 20 minutes. Sometimes 15.
And then you're just going to stir this all together.
Well, I discovered recently that lentils come in different colors.
Yep. Orange, green, black, different colors.
They don't taste the same.
Right, in India they use red lentils a lot, and they make it like a paste. It's called dal, yeah. And I love it. It's delicious. You can add lots of turmeric to that.
Yes.
So what you have is a really beautiful mix of colors and vegetables here. And I'm just going to taste it. What we have. Oh, okay. I use a little more time.
There's some.
What is it called for? I did actually add a little bit of sauce to the beans after I cooked them. And I'm going to go ahead and finish off this lemon. I actually think that sprouting would be better for the salad. It's a little bit mushy with the cooked beans, but it's still good. That's delicious.
So Jesse, did you tell them if they wanted to sprout, what that would look like?
If you want to sprout like
The lentils?
yeah, so if you turn over your page here, you're going to see lentils somewhere on this chart.
It's like 3 o'clock.
So lentils will take 8 hours of soaking if you want to cook them, and 12 hours of sprouting if you want to sprout them. So really not that much more time. This is a really handy little chart. You might want to keep it on your fridge.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, it's something you have to think ahead for, but if you have this on your refrigerator, you can just do it the night before. I mean, most of these things you just, and that's a good thing, to be planning your meals ahead. Kind of gets you involved in your diet. That's what it's meant to be, is a creative process. Have fun with it. It's good to enjoy your food and be a part of it and be active, like the beans. And you sprout them. Any other questions?
So does everybody understand, like, if you had black beans or different kinds of beans, that there are different times of soaking and the process of rinsing them, and does everybody feel like confident that they could do that? No? Tom?
I need my wife to hold my hand.
So sesame seeds, I mean, if they're already roasted, you can't sprout.
That's a good point, yeah. Once anything's cooked, it won't sprout. It's already sealed into the seed process.
Would you repeat that, please?
So if you see on the sign there where you're buying your seeds or nuts that they're toasted or roasted or whatever, if they've been cooked, they won't sprout. They have to be raw.
So I think Hoppy's has a good selection
Coffee, yeah.
of raw. I think they have raw sunflower seeds. I'm not quite sure. They used to have raw pumpkin seeds, and I'm not sure they have them anymore. But they've got a good selection of bulk beans. So if you like to eat beans or lentils, it's a good way to, it's an inexpensive way also, because it's cheaper by the pound when they're dry. And also they have obviously a little bit longer shelf life. But yeah, I mean, it's a great, especially if you're going to do some bulk cooking. So if you make the beans ahead of time, or the lentils ahead of time, and then you have this, it looks like Jessie, that's how she has these containers that, you store them in. So, and again, once you make them and you have them in your refrigerator, then you can make all sorts of things. You can make, one night you can make, a black bean dip, or you can make a black bean salad, or you can just make a black bean soup. Or, there's so many different varieties of food you can make just from that one batch of whatever. Lentils is the same way too. So it's good to always think that, thinking in bulk and cooking in batches, because a lot of us don't have the time to cook really healthy food. And usually, because it takes a little longer, because you're chopping things instead of opening up a jar or a package. Usually when you're cooking fresh, healthy food, it takes a little bit longer. I hear that all the time. Well, I don't have time. But there are certain things, certain tips and tricks that you can do to save yourself time. And certainly when you batch cook, whether it's your grains or your beans, it's one less step that you're doing. Or if you have it like on a Sunday, if you're cooking, that's what I do, is I'll cook a big batch of whatever, whether it's beans or lentils or quinoa, and then have it during the week for different dishes. So yes, Linda.
When you're sprouting, you put this in the refrigerator and then change out the water every day?
No, it doesn't go in the refrigerator.
So the
Somewhere with
fermenting?
light, because that's the other thing that when you're sprouting, you're trying to bring out the actual greens in the seed, and so you want a little bit of light there.
Are we changing out the water every day to keep it?
Yeah, about 2 times a day actually. You want to run
Okay.
2 to 3.
Get sick
And one thing to make sure if you don't get sick is you can add grapefruit seed extract. You can buy grapefruit seed extract and just put a couple of drops in there after yours are done soaking and just swish them around. I don't know why hydrogen peroxide wouldn't work too, because you can rinse with that and it would be cheaper.
Yeah.
What's the deal with the peroxide or the?
It would kill any possible salmonella or
Bacteria.
Couldn't we do just put lemon juice in
Vinegar.
Might also kill some enzymes in the gut.
Yeah.
there? Oh, okay.
I don't like using chemicals when you can use food.
That's a good point. So you think lemon juice would be better than
Vinegar.
vinegar? Or no?
To rinse?
Yeah.
I think it's really awesome, just want to put this out there, that we can share about cooking and food.
Yeah.
Because this is something that was passed, like wisdom was passed down. This is the way it was done. We gathered, like what you shared about batches. I want to hear about how you do that. Like that's really great information.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
Has anybody had experience with sprouting or soaking and want to share a little bit of their experience with it, or any recipe or way to prepare or cook something that you've done?
We've taken some mixed beans and put them in a slow cooker. The water, we didn't sprout them or anything, I don't know.
Yeah.
We just took the mixed beans and put them in a slow cooker.
Takes
Put a little
less,
spice in there, different, whatever.
takes less time after you soak.
Right.
But we didn't
Right,
soak.
so what Norm is
I've never
saying is
done
a
that.
slow cooker, the purpose of a slow cooker is that it cooks your food slowly and at a lower temperature, which is good because it doesn't disrupt some of the live enzymes when it gets to a boiling point or a high heat. So the process of slow cooking is to maintain some of the nutrients in the food and cook the food for a longer time. So probably those beans would cook for 6-7 hours. You had it on the slow cooker, which is nice. You leave the house, and well, that's if you trust that the electricity's on. But you have the slow cooker cooking, and then or overnight before you go to bed, you put the slow cooker on beans or oats or whatever, and you wake up and you have that food cooked. And what did you do? Nothing. You were sleeping or you were out doing whatever. It's doing its own thing. So, that's what I like about, there are ways to cook that you don't have to be in the kitchen all the time. For those of you who don't like to cook or don't feel comfortable in the kitchen. First of all, I just say, get over that. Really, just get over it. You can do it. You can do it. I mean, and you can just start. The best way to start is to just go in there and experiment with food. That's why it's, these recipes are used as a guideline, but I really encourage you and try to empower you to go in there and just add some things that are maybe not on the recipe and experiment with it.
Another experience that I've had is not being prepared, but really wanting to make some sprouted beans. And if you don't follow the recipe, if you don't happen to soak it for the exact amount of time, and you just leave them in the water for however long you have, you're starting the process. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can get it going, and it's better than not doing anything.
That's a good point. So, and you talked about just rinsing the beans after you soak, right?
No, I did not mention that. But
Okay, so just make sure that after you do soak, you're not using that soaking water. Okay, you're going to dump that water out, and then you're going to rinse the beans again, just to get, just to give it one more rinse through. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So, any other questions? Anything anybody wants to share? Yes, Carol.
I learned a trick from a Weight Watcher friend of mine that I'd like to share with the rest of you. And it was like, for me, it was one of those aha moments. And talk about being prepared. This friend was telling me about how valuable these little quart containers can be. This is a glass container. And what she did on a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning, she would make salads for her for the entire week. I said, how do you do that? Won't it go rotten? No, if it's a glass container, air won't get in. So what she would do, she would start with her cherry tomatoes, not the sliced ones, but cherry tomatoes, and she would build up maybe a little coleslaw mix, the coleslaw and carrots, then maybe some spinach and some other kind of lettuce and whatever. If she had cucumbers, she'd put them on the bottom. And then this cherry tomatoes and build up. And I tried it. I put it in here, and it lasted more than a week. And
without the dressing.
So she makes these in advance. Yeah. She grabs one in the morning, goes to work. She dumps it out on her plate at work. She brings a little salad dressing, and she's ready for lunch. That's it. If you don't have time, make time to do something like this on a Saturday, and you will save yourself a pile of time during the week.
So would she have like 5 of those jars in her refrigerator?
Yeah.
With all her days?
And they're all ready to go. And I tried it, and I kept mine in there for over a week. And I dumped it out, and guess what? It was just perfectly fine.
In the refrigerator?
In the refrigerator, in a glass quart jar. It has to be a glass. It's the air that causes the food to start rotting.
Yeah.
So an airtight container.
Yeah. That's a good tip. It's called salad in a jar. I've seen it.
Yeah, if we get a bag of mixed greens here,
That was, yes.
I normally just take that bag, put it in the refrigerator. 5 days later, it's mushy.
Mushy. This is why I mentioned it, because if you have a jar container at home,
I have 2 dozen of them.
and sometimes you can pick those up at a secondhand store too, like Kiwanis down here, because we get a lot of stuff that needs to be eaten right away.
Right.
Okay? Well, this is a way, if you go home today and you start putting those salads together now, you can eat one next week.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, just great. Great tip, Carol. Thank you.
Leftover food I have found. Leftover how you involve.
Very good.
So leftover, yep. So what she was saying is leftover food. Once you cook it, they last longer in the glass jars. I know my pantry is full of those glass jars. I put all my grains and seeds and nuts and beans and all of once I buy them, they go right in those glass jars, and they keep for a very long time.
Also,
so
I had the little jars, the smaller jars, and I sliced up bell peppers And we've got bell peppers out there of the different colors. Slice them up, no water. Okay, if you wash it off
Right.
first, then dry it, slice it up, put them in there like you would, like you get pickles, you know? And then no water, put the lid on it, and it'll stay a while too. It doesn't get mushy.
Are there any of these things that you do without refrigeration? Is refrigeration required?
Oh, yeah, you need to put it in the refrigerator. Yeah.
That's what I do with myself.
Sure.
Okay, these are good tips, yes.
I had a question, and it's
Yeah.
probably very dumb, and you may have already
No dumb
given the
questions,
answer.
it's never dumb questions.
It's the one never asked, it's the dumb one.
That's right.
Okay, but on the ingredients here, the lentil salad, I was looking at 1/2 cup seeded diced cucumber and 1/2 cup seeded diced tomato.
Yeah.
Does that mean take the seeds out?
Yeah,
Awfully laborious.
yeah. And
Yeah,
you
I mean,
don't-
what's wrong with the seeds?
There's nothing wrong with the seeds. Some people can't, and maybe that's why they put it on there, that they're not as digestible as, some people can't tolerate seeds because of the fiber content. So, I mean, I would encourage you to eat the seeds.
Okay, I just thought.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of nutrients in seeds.
And
Yes.
I saw that I like kidney beans and black beans, and they're not on this list. Does anybody know how long you have to soak them for?
Are black beans not on the chart? I think it's like, I think for like 8 hours, isn't it like 6 to 8?
Always Google it if you don't know.
I think it's 6 to 8. Yeah, yeah. And the other thing too, you could add things like seaweed into the water, garlic into the water, lemon into it. Did you talk about that in your soaking?
No, seaweed, I wasn't sure if I should bring up seaweed. I always put a little piece of seaweed in there.
What kind do you use? Because I've been in a store and I was kind of like overwhelmed by what to buy.
I don't remember the name of it, but it's like it's a thicker.
Nori, dulse is
Dulce,
the,
actually, no, dulce is like the paper.
dulse is like the
Yeah.
paper and
Not
and
the
the,
paper thin ones. You want like one of the thicker.
is it
Wapami.
Arami?
I
Yeah,
think
you
that's
said
it. Yeah.
They sell it at the places, the health foods in Black Mountain. What's it called, the nature food?
I don't shop there. So, I just roots and fruits. Does roots and
It
fruits
helps
maybe?
pull out the
What is
folic
it that
acid
you're
and it just makes the process go better, more productive. Also for grains, you would put anything acidic or fermenting, you can use in grains for the same purpose.
And then you pitch that when after you rinse.
It goes out with the soaking water.
And then you rinse again. Yeah. Good questions. All right, anybody else have any questions or feedback? Yes, Tom?
We only see one kind of vein on here, different grains do different things, like the black and the red.
There's 3 different kinds of 1, 2, 3, 4 beans that I count. There's azuki, chickpea, lentil, and mung. And I think that azuki is similar to a black bean.
Okay, what's the black bean?
Yeah.
When you sprout, do you cook those sprouts or just
That's the difference between soaking and sprouting. Soaking, you would cook them, and sprouting is the process of going in, making the greens pop out and eating them raw.
And if you wanted to, at one point, put it in a smooth road, because you can't.
You can make, I know you can make bread out of sprouted grains. I've actually not had success with it. I've only seen it on the shelves. It's a different process because it's wet instead of cooking.
So it's going to be a denser.
It's denser, yeah. It's a denser experience.
All right, if you guys don't have any more questions.